When Qin Feng laid eyes on the swift runner, he instinctively glanced at his own agility stat. Thanks to the Shadow class bonuses and the agility boost from his bronze tier corrosive dagger, Qin Feng's agility had soared to 34 points. In the abandoned game, doubling one's agility didn't equate to doubling movement speed. Instead, there was a specific calculation formula. With an initial 10 points of agility, the usual movement speed is around 3 meters per second, and sprinting can reach about 9.5 meters per second. Now, with 34 points of agility, my normal movement speed is 5.83 meters per second, and sprinting reaches 17 to 18 meters per second. Qin Feng's speed was nearly double that of some newbie players. Even so, it was just enough to match the swift runner's speed. That's sufficient. Being able to keep up with the swift runner means I don't have to worry about it escaping. Hiding within the shadows, Qin Feng observed the scene ahead. The swift runner was chasing down a player squad. Leading the group was a burly man wielding a shabby shield, steadily retreating while fending off the swift runner's attacks. That man was none other than Wang Meng, the second-ranked player in Shelltown. Behind him, 5 hidden class players were seriously unleashing their skills, targeting the swift runner. Unfortunately, whether it was the archer or the mage, both the male and female ranged classes found it nearly impossible to hit the swift runner. The swift runner's erratic movement and decayed claws and fangs quickly brought Wang Meng's health to half. Even with the Holy Shield Warrior class's high base durability, with health and defense stats about 30% higher than other newbies, Wang Meng was struggling. Their rise to level 2 had been relatively smooth, with Wang Meng bearing the brunt of the danger. But now, facing the bronze tier boss, the swift runner, Wang Meng was clearly overwhelmed. Meanwhile, the swift runner still had at least 90% of its health left. At this moment, the youth, a sharp-eye archer in Wang Meng's team, missed 2 more attacks, his face grim. No, this boss is too fast. Hitting it from a distance is too hard. Wang Meng remained calm. Just keep attacking. We can wear it down and finish it off after respawning if necessary. But Wang Meng's plan was a bit too optimistic. As the battle dragged on, other monsters appeared from the surrounding woods. Defiler, LV2. Grade, Common. These were level 2 common monsters, humanoid in shape but covered in dark brown sludge, specializing in ranged attacks. 3 defilers emerged from the woods, hurling sludge at Wang Meng's rear line. Splat! A beautiful girl with a staff was struck hard in the chest by a glob of sludge. The force made her black robe tremble in a ripple of undulating motion. -32. Ugh, yuck. It stinks. The pretty girl recoiled from the stench, utterly repulsed. But that was just the beginning. More and more sludge began to rain down on their rear line. The projectiles came fast, making them hard to dodge. The critical issue was, they still had the bronze tier boss, the swift runner, in front of them. If they scattered to evade the ranged attacks, Wang Meng wouldn't be able to shield them from the swift runner, and a single strike from it could be fatal. In no time, Wang Meng's team was in peril. Their health was rapidly dwindling. Wang Meng. Qin Feng squinted, sizing up the squad. Truth be told, he recognized Wang Meng. Of course, not from now, but from before his rebirth. Back then, Qin Feng was among the top 100 global players. Although he was on the lower end of the top tier, being an ordinary warrior class was already legendary. Many idolized Qin Feng. Among them was Wang Meng. After all, Wang Meng, with his hidden class Holy Shield Warrior, had much better class bonuses and skills than Qin Feng, an ordinary warrior. Yet, Wang Meng's combat prowess fell short of Qin Feng's. Thus, Wang Meng held Qin Feng in high regard. Their acquaintance stemmed from Wang Meng representing the Summer Empire, cooperating with Qin Feng's guild, Godslayer. Whenever Qin Feng acquired surplus gear or skill books that the guild didn't need, He'd hand them to Wang Meng to sell to the Summer Empire, exchanging them for tradable lifespan. In my previous life, I formed the guild to better protect Qin's Iowa. This time, it's unnecessary. Still, Wang Meng is worth befriending. Qin Fen now aimed to convert all surplus gear and skill books into tradable lifespan to bolster himself. Thus, finding a stable sales channel was vital. Wang Meng was reliable, and the Summer Empire he represented had ample resources. Since these monsters must die, why not lend him a hand first? Qin Fen didn't plan on abruptly introducing himself. Just making an impression would suffice. He assessed the situation, swiftly closing in on one of the defilers from behind. Unleashing a sudden strike, the defiler was furiously hurling sludge at the pretty girl with the staff, oblivious to the assassin at its back. The corrosive dagger flashed, landing on the defiler's nape. -441, weak point strike. A single blow took it down. The defiler instantly dissolved into a heap of sludge, spilling across the scorched ground. You have slain Defiler, LV2. You have gained 20 experience points. You have gained 1 evolution point. You have gained 4 days of tradable lifespan. The system notifications surprised Qin Feng. It was fortunate to gain an evolution point from a common monster. He casually activated Greedy Hand. Skill Greedy Hand successful. You have gained 4 days of tradable lifespan. Too bad, no evolution point this time. Ordinary monsters rarely yielded evolution points. Greedy Hand's extra reward worked like killing another identical monster, not duplicating the loot. Thus, missing out on an evolution point was expected. Only bosses guarantee steady evolution point income. Having dispatched 1 defiler, Qin Feng remained patient. Before the monsters and players could react, he slipped back into stealth mode. Whew! Seeing a defiler suddenly collapse into sludge, Wang Meng and his team were stunned. They only caught a glimpse of a dark figure before the defiler fell. How is that possible? Even a level 1 crawler takes us over 10 seconds to kill, yet someone just instantaneously took down a level 2 defiler. The 6-member team was utterly astounded. One of the polluters was swiftly taken down. The pressure on Wang Meng's team immediately lightened. The beautiful girl holding the staff, her eyes sparkling with excitement, exclaimed, "Someone's helping us? Could it be the shadow from the rankings?" In truth, with her face and body covered in mud and her health barely hanging on, her beauty was hard to discern. Only her captivating figure remained, naturally drawing a few extra glances. Her long, slender legs moved gracefully, displaying a lively agility that exuded energy and flexibility. Hold on. Wang Meng urged as his skill cooldown ended. With a grim expression, he activated
instinctively glanced at his own agility stat. Thanks to the Shadow class bonuses and the agility boost from his bronze tier corrosive dagger, Qin Feng's agility had soared to 34 points. In the abandoned game, doubling one's agility didn't equate to doubling movement speed. Instead, there was a specific calculation formula. With an initial 10 points of agility, the usual movement speed is around 3 meters per second, and sprinting can reach about 9.5 meters per second. Now, with 34 points of agility, my normal movement speed is 5.83 meters per second, and sprinting reaches 17 to 18 meters per second. Qin Feng's speed was nearly double that of some newbie players. Even so, it was just enough to match the swift runner's speed. That's sufficient. Being able to keep up with the swift runner means I don't have to worry about it escaping. Hiding within the shadows, Qin Feng observed the scene ahead. The swift runner was chasing down a player squad. Leading the group was a burly man wielding a shabby shield, steadily retreating while fending off the swift runner's attacks. That man was none other than Wang Meng, the second-ranked player in Shelltown. Behind him, 5 hidden class players were seriously unleashing their skills, targeting the swift runner. Unfortunately, Whether it was the archer or the mage, both the male and female ranged classes found it nearly impossible to hit the swift runner. The swift runner's erratic movement and decayed claws and fangs quickly brought Wang Meng's health to half. Even with the Holy Shield Warrior class's high base durability, with health and defense stats about 30% higher than other newbies, Wang Meng was struggling. Their rise to level 2 had been relatively smooth, with Wang Meng bearing the brunt of the danger. But now, facing the bronze tier boss, the swift runner, Wang Meng was clearly overwhelmed. Meanwhile, the swift runner still had at least 90% of its health left. At this moment, the youth, a sharp-eye archer in Wang Meng's team, missed 2 more attacks, his face grim. No, this boss is too fast, hitting it from a distance is too hard. Wang Meng remained calm. Just keep attacking. We can wear it down and finish it off after respawning if necessary. But Wang Meng's plan was a bit too optimistic. As the battle dragged on, other monsters appeared from the surrounding woods. Defiler, LV2. Grade, Common. These were level 2 common monsters, humanoid in shape but covered in dark brown sludge, specializing in ranged attacks. 3 defilers emerged from the woods, hurling sludge at Wang Meng's rear line. Splat! A beautiful girl with a staff was struck hard in the chest by a glob of sludge. The force made her black robe tremble in a ripple of undulating motion. -32. Ugh, yuck. It stinks. The pretty girl recoiled from the stench, utterly repulsed. But that was just the beginning. More and more sludge began to rain down on their rear line. The projectiles came fast, making them hard to dodge. The critical issue was, they still had the bronze tier boss, the swift runner, in front of them. If they scattered to evade the ranged attacks, Wang Meng wouldn't be able to shield them from the swift runner, and a single strike from it could be fatal. In no time, Wang Meng's team was in peril. Their health was rapidly dwindling. Wang Meng. Qin Feng squinted, sizing up the squad. Truth be told, he recognized Wang Meng. Of course, not from now, but from before his rebirth. Back then, Qin Feng was among the top 100 global players. Although he was on the lower end of the top tier, being an ordinary warrior class was already legendary. Many idolized Qin Feng. Among them was Wang Meng. After all, Wang Meng, with his hidden class.
Wang Meng's health bar continued to drop steadily toward 0. Clearly, despite reaching level 2 by killing small monsters, the team hadn't gotten any useful gear or skill books, leaving their combat strategy quite basic. Just then, a figure suddenly appeared behind the swift runner. Timing his attack perfectly, Qin Feng launched a venomous dart just as the swift runner lunged at Wang Meng, hitting the boss squarely in the head. -845. Weak spot. The attack landed with precision, maximizing stealth, backstab, and weak spot damage. Wang Meng and his team, who were tense with worry, stared wide-eyed as the boss's health bar dropped by half in an instant. Holy crap! Wang Meng couldn't help but curse. Their entire team had barely scratched the boss after all this time, and now, a single attack from this mysterious figure had cut its health by half. And that was just the dart's base damage. The true terror was yet to come. -324. -324. -324. -324. With the swift runner turning green from the venom, 4 continuous damage ticks sealed its fate. The boss collapsed before it could even struggle. Of course, Wang Meng and his team couldn't see Qin Feng's damage numbers. They only saw the boss's health bar plunging with each tick, their hearts racing in unison. Witnessing the seemingly invincible bronze-level boss succumb to the venom, the team was left in awe. That damage? Is he even human? Wait, is this guy really a player who started the game at the same time as us? You guys don't get it? The key is how he hit the boss's head with that dart. even with the boss moving erratically. Exactly. We struggled to land a hit on the boss, and he nails the weak spot with ease. The 6 of them inhaled sharply, their eyes fixed on the loot dropped by the boss. Yet, they knew they had no claim over it. In the Forsaken game, loot ownership was determined by the highest damage dealer, whether it was a team or an individual. Since Jin Fen dealt 90% of the boss's health, all the loot rightfully belonged to him. As the boss fell, Qin Feng's mind was flooded with a series of system notifications. After throwing the deadly poison dart, he activated Shadow Step once more, re-entering his invisible state. The cooldown for Shadow Step is still 26 seconds, which is a bit too long. It impacts monster farming efficiency. However, it's better to evolve Greedy Hand with the evolution points if I can. Qin Feng thought to himself. He silently approached the Swift Runner corpse and began collecting the loot. To the 6 members of Wang Meng's team, this scene appeared nothing short of strange. There was no sign of any figure. Suddenly, the loot beside the boss's body disappeared. "Friend, thank you." Wang Meng, aware that the powerful figure was nearby, solemnly cupped his hands in the air, offering a sincere thanks. "Thank me." Qin Feng's voice, seemingly coming from all directions, echoed back faintly, "Out in the wilderness, don't trust others so easily." These words made Wang Meng's face harden. "I understand. Thank you for the reminder, big brother." In the God-forsaken game, only the small towns were considered safe zones. Outside the town, players could kill each other. Upon death, both tradable and non-tradable lifespans would drop by half. Of course, players could only pick up the tradable lifespan. As for non-tradable lifespan, players couldn't directly collect it unless a monster absorbed it, and then they killed the monster to convert 50% of it. Clearly, if Qin Feng wished to harm Wang Meng and his team, he could easily eliminate them now. But there was no need, because they wouldn't drop anything valuable. These guys were too poor. At this moment, Wang Meng understood as well. If this powerful figure had intentions towards them, he wouldn't have bothered to offer a warning. This made Wang Meng even more appreciative. "We'll take our leave now, not to disturb you further with your loot. I'm Wang Meng. If you ever need anything, feel free to find me." Wang Meng, ever considerate, said this before preparing to leave. However, the girl covered in mud, the pretty one behind him, suddenly waved her hand around. Big brother, I'm Black Plum Big Grape, can I add you as a friend?" Upon hearing the girl's in-game alias, Qin Feng nearly burst into laughter. In truth, he recognized this girl. Of course, it was from his previous life. Her name was Lin Liu, her father's surname was Lin, her mother's surname was Li, hence the nickname Black Plum Big Grape. She was indeed beautiful, lively, and charming. Her figure was also quite alluring. As for her class, she was a hidden class, the Prophet, much stronger than regular mages. In the previous life, Qin Feng had teamed up with her a few times. Looks like her start this time is the same as last life, directly teaming up with Wang Meng. Eventually, she became a member of the Daxia official team. Qin Feng thought, shaking his head. There was no need to make connections with her now. He coldly replied, "Sorry, I'm not interested in Black Plum Big Grape." The girl, unwilling to give up, tried to pester him, but the middle-aged female priest in their group sighed, dragging her away as they turned to leave. Watching them walk away, Qin Feng couldn't help but feel a little sentimental. Wang Meng's class, Holy Shield Warrior, was indeed tanky. And the middle-aged female priest in their team was also a hidden class, Oracle Priest, with healing abilities twice that of regular priests. Otherwise, their team wouldn't have lasted this long. My attacks seem like they're instant kills. But with the cooldown of Shadow Step, the attack intervals are still a bit too long. It took almost 2 minutes to kill the boss and 3 pollution creatures. With an ordinary team, they would have been wiped out under the Swift Runner's assault long ago. Qin Feng shook his head, not dwelling on it too much. This round, he had reaped plenty. After Wang Meng and the others left, Qin Feng activated Greedy Hand on the Swift Runner's corpse. Congratulations, you have gained 2 evolution points. You have gained 55 days of lifespan, tradable. A bronze-level boss had granted Qin Feng 4 evolution points in total, along with 110 days of tradable lifespan and 5 pieces of loot. Good haul. Among the drops, there are 3 pieces of equipment and 2 skill books. Only 1 piece of equipment was usable by Qin Feng. In God-Forsaken, there were so many classes that loot often contained items from other classes. This was common. Swift Runner's skin leggings, bronze assassin equipment. Physical defense +9, all element resistance +5. Cooldown speed +15%. Equipment requirement, level 2. The defense and element resistance of this item were not very useful to Qin Feng. But the 15% cooldown speed was excellent. He equipped it immediately. The cooldown of Shadow Step, from 26 seconds, has decreased to 22.61 seconds. That's a good improvement. In God-Forsaken, there was no concept of cooldown reduction, only cooldown speed. Later on, cooldown speed could be stacked to several 100%. For example, 400% cooldown speed would make the cooldown 4 times faster, equivalent to 1/5 of the original time. To put it simply, final cooldown time equals base cooldown time /1 plus cooldown speed. Let's continue hunting monsters. With 1 more evolution point, I can evolve Greedy Hand to Emerald level. Qin Feng stayed invisible and delved deeper into the dark forest. At the same time, his tradable lifespan had reached 268 days. I still have plenty of equipment and skill books from other classes. Once my backpack is full, I'll head back to the town to trade them for tradable lifespan. Then I can consider extracting the equipment and skills back into reality. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that Qin Feng's combat power and resource reserves now were already equivalent to the progress made after 1 or 2 days in his previous life. It may sound like he developed very slowly in his previous life. But this was inevitable. As the number of players in the town increased, the monsters outside gathered in greater numbers. New players would find it far more difficult to hunt monsters. Instead, many player teams were wiped out by swarming monsters, constantly losing lifespan. For instance, right now, at Shelltown, Wang Meng and his hidden class team had returned to an area closer to the town, where only level 1 monsters spawned, not the level 2 ones. What shocked them was that they soon saw the 6-player team being attacked by over 10 crawlers. If they fought a single crawler, many teams could now manage it. But more than 10 crawlers? Too many crawlers. What the hell? A young man cursed in panic before being knocked down by 3 crawlers, who began to tear and gnaw at him. Prepare for battle. Wang Meng's expression turned extremely serious as he raised the cheap large shield in his hands. Earlier, they had taken a short break and recovered most of their health and mana. The beautiful girl holding a staff, Lin Liu, was still brooding over not adding Qin Feng as a friend earlier. It must be because I'm covered in mud, and the big shot doesn't want to add me. Boo-hoo. She was on the verge of tears. However, before she could wallow in self-pity for too long, the scene before her took her by surprise, and she immediately raised her staff, ready to fight. More than 10 crawlers. Within seconds, a 6-player team had been wiped out. At first, Wang Meng had been preparing for battle with a grave face. But then, the crawlers turned back to glance at their group, seemingly sensing that they weren't like the usual teams and were somewhat wary. They immediately turned and fled. Of course, before leaving, they absorbed all the non-tradable lifespan dropped by the 6 players. Although it took time for monsters to digest lifespan, the absorption and storage happened quickly. Once finished, the crawlers scattered, retreating into the depths of the forest. They ran. Wang Meng and the others were left stunned. These monsters didn't follow the usual rules. Moreover, the speed of those crawlers was alarmingly fast. Although not as fast as the sprinting beast, they were certainly beyond what Wang Meng and his team could catch up to. They want to run, and we really can't catch them. These monsters are scared of the strong. Wang Meng, Lin Liu, and the rest of the team were bewildered. Once again, they were filled with awe towards the game God-forsaken. The monsters in this game were nothing like the passive ones in regular online games that simply waited for players to kill them. These monsters would form teams, gather together, and hunt players. They would rob players of their lifespan. As for what the monsters did with the stolen lifespan, Wang Meng and the others didn't know yet, but the mere fact that they did it was enough to send chills down anyone's spine. Let's go. Wang Meng led his team onward. Soon, they encountered another 6-player team, 3 of whom were dead, with the remaining 3 fleeing for their lives. Unfortunately, they were too slow, and 5 crawlers were closing in on them, relentlessly attacking. It seemed like they were about to be killed. Arcane Orb. Triple shot. The 2 ranged players from Wang Meng's team attacked the 5 crawlers from afar. Each hit a crawler, knocking off about 1/10 of its health. Surround them. Don't let them escape. Wang Meng charged forward with his shield, leaping into the fray and crashing down with a slam, stunning all 5 crawlers in place. Around Shelltown, such scenes were happening everywhere. What was supposed to be a game where players killed monsters for experience was now flipped on its head. The monsters were teaming up, gathering, and hunting players instead. At the town's revival point, flashes of white light kept appearing, almost non-stop. Each revived player had a grim expression. We need to reach level 3 to return to the real world. We thought it would be easy, but the monsters are forming teams, and we're supposed to level up this way. I have a question: if we can't reach level 3, will we be stuck here forever? Does that mean we'll become vegetative in the real world? No, we need to gather more people. A 6-person team isn't enough. Let's form 2 or 3 teams and head out together. No, too many people will attract a boss. A 40-man team just drew a cursed one and it wiped out over 30 of them with a single skill. Countless players were filled with fear. Just then, they noticed. On Shelltown's leaderboard, the player ranked first, Shadow, had reached level 3. What the hell? Is Shadow really that strong? We can barely handle small monsters, and he levels up so easily. Shadow seems to be soloing. After all, he's the only one with such a high level on the board. Definitely soloing. That's insane. People were left in disbelief. By now, many players had already ventured out of the town. They had experienced firsthand just how vicious the monsters outside were. In this situation, how could Shadow solo and level up so quickly? How powerful must he be? At this moment, the player pair, also known as Yelai, along with her teammates, had just revived at the square. The girl in the black short-sleeve shirt had a face as dark as charcoal. Because this was her 3rd time dying. Her non-tradable lifespan, originally at 80 years, was now down to just 10 years. The loss was staggering. Though she didn't know if this lifespan was real or not yet, it still weighed heavily on her heart. Her teammate, the soft-spoken girl with long hair, was trembling slightly. Yelai, what do we do now? The girl anxiously glanced at her experience bar. So far, their team had killed 4 crawlers, but each player had earned barely 10 points of experience, still far from reaching the 100 points needed to level up to 2, let alone 3. Even those 4 crawlers had been difficult to kill. Because When they were low on health, they ran. It was only because Yelai, with her hidden class, had the skills to pick off the fleeing crawlers with her longbow that they were able to finish them off. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to kill those four at all. Anyway, we can't die again. The girl in the black short-sleeve shirt, Yelai, looked grim as she noticed that Shadow had leveled up to 3. This situation gave her an idea. Everyone scatter and spread the news. Yelai said solemnly, I'll pay 10 million RMV for Shadow to help me level up to 3. Anyway, I just need to get back to reality. He's leveling so fast, he should be able to carry me easily, right? And so, the news quickly spread throughout Shelltown. A wealthy young lady was willing to pay 10 million RMV to have Shadow, the top-ranked player, help her level up. Meanwhile, Qin Fen was heading back. After killing the sprinting beast, he had continued to slay more than 10 crawlers in the dense forest, finally earning 1 evolution point from Greedy Hand. He immediately evolved Greedy Hand. You have consumed 5 evolution points, remaining 0. Greedy Hand, Platinum Rightward Arrow Emerald Assassin class skill. Can be used on monster corpses with a 110% rightward arrow, 160% chance to gain an additional loot reward. The extra loot has a 20% chance to increase by 1 tier. Greedy Hand had evolved to the Emerald tier, and now it had a special effect. There was a 20% chance that extra loot would be upgraded by 1 tier. Invincible. Qin Feng's eyes lit up. This effect was downright amazing. If I continue evolving, won't the loot tiers be 100% upgraded? Killing a bronze boss could yield silver gear. Killing a silver boss could drop gold gear. Perfect timing. Qin Feng had just remembered the location of a boss. The boss was called Cursed One, a withered treant-like monster that seemed to have killed dozens of players and was hiding somewhere in the dense forest, absorbing their lifespan. It wouldn't be long before the Cursed One evolved into a silver-tier boss. However, advancing the boss requires some time. Anyway, no one can kill that boss right now, so I'll just let it take its time to evolve. Let me first head back and handle some things. Qin Feng glanced at his inventory. He was now level 3.5, but his 10-slot inventory was already full. Most of the items were equipment and skill books not suited for his class. To Qin Feng, these items were useless, and it would be best to exchange them for a tradable lifespan. But to other players in Shelltown, these were all valuable items that could significantly boost their power. Take the Mage skill book Ice Spike, for example. Once learned, it could slow down enemies and even had a chance to freeze them, though bosses, with their high control resistance, were difficult to freeze. But against regular monsters, it was a perfect tool. On his way back to Shelltown, Qin Feng saw many players getting chased down and killed by crawlers. He remained expressionless. This was a common occurrence in the early stages of the game. It wouldn't be long before players figured out that the best way to deal with this was to increase their agility. With high agility, players could move fast enough to avoid being chased down. Crawlers would be no match. Moreover, if crawlers attempted to escape, those with high agility could chase them down instead. That's why Qin Feng had focused on agility. As Qin Feng approached the safe zone of Shelltown, he finally dropped his invisibility. However, he brought up the system panel and activated the face mask function. In the game, players' appearances were the same as in reality and could not be altered. I'm still just an ordinary person in the real world. I haven't unlocked any abilities yet. I can't expose my identity. Qin Feng knew this well. Once his identity was exposed as the top-ranked player in Shelltown, trouble would surely follow, even the risk of death. He had seen such situations happen in his past life. After activating the face mask, a black veil covered his face, making it impossible for anyone to see his features. He wore a basic black robe, with swift-running leather leggings and corrupt skin boots on his legs and feet. Beneath the veil, only his cold, indifferent eyes were visible. Around Shelltown, the players from Jianghai City wore gloomy expressions. They all wanted to reach level 3 and return to reality. But right now, they couldn't even kill a single crawler. If they encountered a group, they had no way to fight back. So, they crowded into Shelltown, constantly discussing ways to improve. When Qin Feng returned, his cold and aloof appearance immediately caught the attention of nearby players. The leggings, boots, and corroded dagger in his hands were clearly dropped by wild monsters. Especially the dagger and leggings, which emitted a faint bronze glow. Clearly, they were bronze-tier items. Who's this guy? Acting so cocky. With 2 bronze-tier items, can you blame him for being cocky? Wait. Is this the shadow ranked first on the leaderboard? No way. It really is him. The boss. Someone's offering him 10 million RMB to carry them to level 3. Boss, I don't need you to carry me, but I'll give you 100,000 if you tell me how you soloed the bosses. Ugh, big brother, I've died 4 times. I'll do anything you want, just help me out. I'm still a newbie. A crowd of players quickly gathered. Some wanted Qin Feng to carry them to level up, while others asked him how he soloed the monsters. But Qin Feng ignored them all. He walked directly to the town square and sat down next to a dilapidated flower bed. He opened the stall function and put up the 10 items and skill books for sale. Store name, equipment and skill sale, only for 10 minutes, act fast. Shelltown was bustling with people. Qin Feng estimated that 10 minutes would be enough. As soon as his stall opened, it immediately attracted all nearby players. This is really Shadow, the Shadow boss. Wow. The boss is selling equipment, and there are even 2 bronze-tier items. Did he kill a bronze-tier boss? I heard that the Kurspinger boss killed over 30 people earlier. Yeah, such a powerful boss. Can someone really take it down right now? The players gathered quickly. Soon, a woman in a gray robe, accompanied by her team, approached. She had a seductive figure, with a perfect S-curve and long, beautiful legs that made it hard to look away. How much is this ice spike? She asked, looking at Qin Feng. Like Qin Feng, she had activated the face mask function. But Qin Feng recognized her. She was Grey Rose, ranked 11th on the leaderboard in Shelltown. The poor quality robe she was wearing seemed fitting for her codename. Qin Feng glanced at her and said, 100 days of tradable lifespan. Grey Rose furrowed her brows. 100 days. That's too much. I can't afford it. Can you lower the price? Qin Feng shook his head, uninterested in speaking further. The Ice Spike skill book was a basic skill that would greatly improve early game monster farming for mages. 100 days was already cheap. Grey Rose quickly asked, can I use cash? Qin Feng responded indifferently, if you have enough cash, you can buy lifespan from others and come back to trade with me. If no one offers a higher price, I'll hold onto the item for you. Grey Rose bit her lip. Wait a moment. She went to talk with her team in the party channel. Half a minute later, Grey Rose returned to Qin Feng. All right, 100 days of lifespan. Let's trade. Qin Feng now had 268 days of lifespan. Grey Rose had reached at least level 2, and her team had killed around 30 to 40 crawlers. But all the lifespan obtained from the crawlers had been shared among her and her team. Now, Grey Rose had pooled all the tradable lifespan from her team to purchase Ice Spike, aiming to level up faster. You have sold Ice Spike, skill book, and you have received 100 days of tradable lifespan. Tradable lifespan, 268 days. Rightward arrow 368 days. The trade was just completed when suddenly, a few people roughly pushed through the crowd and approached Qin Feng. Leading them was a black-shirt ponytail girl, the player Yelai. She had clearly torn the sleeves off her starting black robe, so it was now a short sleeve, giving her a more lively and cool appearance. Shadow. The arrogant young lady looked down at Qin Feng, sitting by the flower bed, and said haughtily, "I'll give you a chance. Carry me to level 3, and when I return to reality, I'll pay you 10 million RMB. My father is the chairman of Daejiang Industries, so you don't have to worry about payment." Her words shocked everyone. 10 million. All she wanted was to reach level 3. The surrounding players were astonished. Isn't this too good? For Shadow, taking someone to level 3 must be easy. Yeah, this is just a casual 10 million. But what no one expected was, sitting by the flower bed, Qin Feng glanced at the short-sleeved girl without any change in his expression. "I refuse." Hidden from view, Qin Feng was smoking. When he first encountered the Xiali, he didn't recognize her. After all, in his past life, he had met countless people. How could he remember them all? But upon hearing Daejiang Industries, Qin Feng remembered. The young lady before him was Zhang Li, the daughter of the chairman of Daejiang Industries. This woman had committed numerous ruthless acts in the past life. For instance, she bought tradable lifespans with cash, but once back in reality, she reneged on the deal and even killed her victims under the pretense of paying them. At least 10 people had fallen to her schemes. By then, society was already in chaos. Murders in reality were no longer rare. Zhang Li, leveraging the lifespans she had acquired, coupled with her hidden profession, rose rapidly. Qin Feng recalled that Zhang Li didn't face her downfall until the 4th or 5th year after the game god's abandonment descended. Of course, these events had little to do with him. In his previous life, he focused on upgrading with Qin Xiao and had no interactions with Zhang Li. As for now, Qin Feng certainly wouldn't fall for her lies. 1 million RMB. At present, such an amount was still valuable, but only if one could live to spend it. Currently, while Qin Feng was stronger than everyone else in God's abandonment, he was still just an ordinary person in reality. Behind Zhang Li was Daejiang Industries, which employed a horde of enforcers. Would Qin Feng dare to accept cash? Accepting it would be a death sentence. Moreover, cash will soon lose its value in this world. Soon, the entire world's currency will be lifespan. Hence, Qin Feng maintained his cold demeanor. He couldn't be bothered to pay attention to Zhang Li. Qin Feng's attitude left Zhang Li momentarily stunned. She hadn't expected someone to resist the temptation of 1 million. Zhang Li frowned. "Shadow, you might be strong in this game, but no one knows what's going on with it. If you stick with me, I promise you a life of luxury cars, houses, women, anything you want." Qin Feng waved her off. "If you are not buying anything, move aside and don't interfere with my business." "You." Zhang Li nearly exploded with anger. Since childhood, she had been the treasured darling of her family and, in the eyes of others, the cherished daughter of Daejiang Industries, pampered by the chairman. Who dared to disrespect her? She had never been treated like this before. A hint of malice flashed in Zhang Li's eyes, though she quickly masked it. She smiled. "All right, if you are not interested, let's leave it at that." Turning to leave, her expression grew dark again. Qin Feng watched her retreating figure, unbothered. At this point, no one knows that tradable lifespans can be used to extract equipment and skills into reality. No one knows that God's abandonment will soon shatter the world's order. Only personal strength is the foundation of everything. As for Zhang Li, the background she prided herself on would soon become utterly meaningless. Leaving Shell Town's Central Plaza, Zhang Li began plotting how to uncover Qin Feng's true identity. At that moment, a young man with a tattoo on his arm approached Zhang Li. "Sister Li, my name's Mao Lejun, but you can call me Old Mao." The young man grinned. "I'm level 2 now and know a few tricks for leveling up. I can help you level up. Is that 1 million RMB still on the table? Hearing this, John Lee arched an eyebrow. Tricks? What kind of tricks? The young man, known as Old Mel, said, normally, I wouldn't share this, but since it's you. To show my sincerity, I'll tell you this. To level up now, you must allocate all 5 initial attribute points to agility. This way, we can run just a bit faster than the crawlers. Do you get it? John Lee seemed to grasp the concept but soon furrowed her brow. She had already allocated her initial 5 points to strength, thinking higher damage was everything. But she didn't expect to be overwhelmed by hordes of crawlers. Fine, you can help me level up. John Lee quickly agreed. However, you are not as strong as Shadow. I can give you 500,000. Deal. Get me to level 3, and I'll pay you in cash in reality. Old Mao agreed readily. No problem. As he spoke, Old Mao thought to himself, Shadow may be strong, but he's not very smart. Turning down an easy 1 million. What an idiot. Little did he know what kind of person John Lee was. That 500,000 was not as easy to earn as it seemed. On Qin Feng's side, he soon sold all his items. Compared to skill books, equipment was much cheaper. He had 2 bronze-level items left, one for warriors and one for priests, both with mediocre attributes, each sold for only 30 to 40 days of tradable lifespan. As for the other low-grade equipment and skill books, the prices were even lower. After selling all 10 items, Qin Feng accumulated nearly 300 days of tradable lifespan. Tradable lifespan, 546 days. Not bad. By now, that cursed one should have evolved to silver level, right? Qin Feng packed up and left Shelltown. In stealth mode, he swiftly headed towards the cursed one's location. On the way, he noticed a young man called Old Mao leading John Lee out, seemingly ready to help her level up. One glance told Qin Feng what fate awaited Old Mao. But, of course, he had no intention of warning him. To Qin Feng, as long as no one bothered him, he couldn't care less about other matters. 10 minutes later, Qin Feng ventured deep into the dark forest. Arriving at the location where he had previously spotted the cursed one, sure enough, the boss had evolved to silver level, surrounded by gray mist, still advancing. From silver to gold, the evolution will take at least 7 or 8 hours. No need to wait. Qin Feng decided to act. Golden bosses would be plentiful later on, there was no need to wait here. Taking down the boss now to grow stronger was the right path. This area was fraught with danger. The forest was teeming with monsters. Only Qin Feng, with his permanent stealth, could reach here. Without hesitation, he silently approached the cursed one, which resembled a withered tree, and unleashed his venomous dart, hitting the boss directly in the head. A silver boss has 2 to 3 times the health of a bronze boss. Just 2 or 3 venomous darts. Qin Feng threw the dart and vanished. The cursed one was instantly severely wounded, losing almost a quarter of its health, continuously taking poison damage. But as it turned, there was no one in sight. This enraged the cursed one, emitting a furious sound. Its skeletal arms rose, gray elemental energy swirling in its hands, gathering, then expanding. A massive area of effect skill, spanning over 20 meters, erupted, engulfing its surroundings. The cursed one, a magic-type monster boss. Most of its skills are area attacks with high damage. After throwing a venomous dart, Qin Feng retreated at full speed. Thanks to his speed, he barely escaped the boss's skill range before it exploded. That was close. If I'd been caught in that blast, with my current health and defense, I'd be done for. Qin Feng's heart raced as he watched the expensive gray mist burst in front of him. This cursed one had killed over 30 players, advancing to silver level in one go. It had even absorbed enough life force to potentially ascend to gold or even higher. But unfortunately for it, it encountered Qin Feng. After the grey mist burst, Qin Feng didn't approach. Instead, he distanced himself from the boss, waiting for his shadow sneak skill to cool down. The cursed one kept raising its hands, unleashing grey mist explosions into the air around it. These smaller skills had a lesser range but still posed a significant threat to Qin Feng. A single hit would be fatal for him. Fortunately, he remained invisible and kept his distance, avoiding any danger. Once his shadow sneak cooled down, the cursed one seemed tired, having used over a dozen skills and drained its mana. The cursed one warily scanned its surroundings and began moving deeper into the forest. Suddenly, a figure appeared behind it, and another venomous dart hit its head. -659, critical hit. -219. -219. Qin Feng's figure flickered and vanished. From about 10 meters away, his dart hit the boss's head accurately. His remote attack accuracy was unmatched by other players. He dared not get too close. There wouldn't be enough time to escape the boss's range attack. It could be said his strength was formidable on paper. But much of it also stemmed from his 9 years of rich experience in the past life. With 2 venomous darts, the boss's health bar dwindled to just a third. Unable to see its attacker, the cursed one could only flee deeper into the forest. The withered, frail cursed one, with its long, thin hands dangling to its knees, ran as fast as it could. Anyone who saw the scene would be astounded. No one could imagine a silver-level boss being hunted by a player. Remember, this boss had wiped out dozens of players when it was still at the bronze level. At that moment, a shadow appeared behind the cursed one again. A venomous dart. Once again, the cursed one's body turned green from the poison. Under the continuous poison damage, the cursed one's health finally bottomed out. It let out one final gasp, its frail body collapsing onto the damp, decaying forest floor. You have killed the cursed one, silver level. You have gained 1800 experience points. Congratulations on reaching level 5. You have gained 4 evolution points. You have gained 124 days of lifespan. Tradable. The vast amount of experience boosted Qin Feng by 2 levels, reaching level 5. Additionally, the silver level boss granted Qin Feng 4 evolution points. Greedy hand. Qin Feng looted the corpse. A golden hand reached out from the void, grabbing the cursed one's withered body. Skill Greedy Hand activation successful. You have gained 4 evolution points. You have gained 4 evolution points. You have gained 124 days of lifespan. Tradable. You have gained 124 days of lifespan. Tradable. He received 2 additional rewards. Just this one silver boss brought Qin Feng 12 evolution points and 372 days of tradable lifespan. Moreover, when Qin Feng used Greedy Hand, a golden light flashed under the boss's corpse. Is this a gold level item? No wonder it's an emerald level Greedy Hand. Qin Feng knew that the extra effect of the emerald level Greedy Hand had a 20% chance of upgrading loot by 1 level. Although he felt thrilled, Qin Feng was also a bit frustrated looking at the 7 or 8 pieces of loot under the boss's body. With only 10 slots in my backpack, I can't run back after every boss kill, right? That would waste too much time. Hopefully, this cursed one drops a storage ring or something. That would increase his storage slots. With hope, Qin Feng reached out to the pile of loot under the boss's body. At the same time, Qin Feng took down the silver-level boss and reached level 5. In Shell Town, countless people were stunned when they saw the leaderboard. Level 3 to level 5 in one go. Did he kill some powerful boss? Just 10 minutes ago, the pro was selling equipment, and now he's up 2 levels. That's insane. My sister is 18 this year. I hope the pro takes a liking to her, so I can benefit and level up. Dream on. He wouldn't even look at a million. Why would he look at your sister? In the town center, Wang Meng, Lin Liu, and their 6-man team finally reached level 3. They instinctively glanced at the leaderboard. What the asterisk? The sharp-eyed archer in the team cursed, "We just got to level 3, and that pro is already level 5. How can we survive?" Wang Meng was also stunned. But he quickly shook his head and said gravely, "Let's not think too much about it now. Let's go back to the real world and inform our relatives and friends about the God-forsaken game. The world might fall into chaos, at least we need to prepare our loved ones." Wang Meng's identity was a military police officer. The reason he fell asleep in the morning was because he had stayed up all night surveilling a criminal suspect and had just returned from a shift, only to enter the God-forsaken game unexpectedly. Hearing Wang Meng's words, Lin Liu and the others nodded gravely. They returned to reality. Their bodies in the God-forsaken game gradually became ethereal until they disappeared. While countless people were in shock, Qin Feng also reaped his great harvest. From the silver level cursed one, he gained 12 evolution points and 372 days of tradable lifespan. Even the untradable lifespan exceeded 200 years. My current untradable lifespan is 418 years and 271 days. It seems like a lot. But in the advanced areas of the God-forsaken game or in reality after the first desolation spread, the lifespan depletion will accelerate. Qin Feng shook his head, not thinking too much. He looked at his backpack. First, he checked the gold level equipment. Cursed ring, gold, universal for all classes. All attributes +8. Dark element resistance +26. Critical hit multiplier +0.1. Requirement, level 4. An all attributes ring. Qin Feng felt quite satisfied. 8 points in all attributes equated to 32 attribute points. This one ring was equivalent to what others would gain by leveling up 3 times. The additional dark element resistance is useful against many monsters. The critical hit multiplier starts at 1.5x, and with this ring, it's 1.6x. Not bad. In the God-forsaken game, there was no concept of critical hits. Only a weak point hit multiplier existed. In other words, this multiplier was somewhat akin to the critical damage in some MMORPGs. Next, Qin Feng turned his attention to a skill book. Compared to equipment, Qin Feng clearly preferred skill books, because he could infinitely evolve his skills. And now, the Cursed One dropped a silver-level skill book that made Qin Feng's eyes light up with excitement. An assassin skill. Blink in a direction, up to 15 meters, and enter stealth mode, lasting 5 seconds, dealing 3 slashes to all enemies along the path. Cooldown 12, 10.43 seconds. Requirement, level 4. Slash width, 2.1 meters. Each slash adds 100 attack power, guaranteed as a backstab, but cannot cause critical damage. Qin Feng held the skill book and learned it directly. If he had learned this skill earlier, it would have taken him half the time to kill that silver-level cursed one. The most important thing is, this skill not only keeps him in stealth but is also an area of effect skill. As for the cooldown time, 12 seconds is the base cooldown, while 10.43 seconds is the effective cooldown. After all, Qin Feng carried a 15% cooldown reduction attribute. A 15-meter-long, 2.1-meter-wide attack range. Perfect for dealing with small mobs. Through evolution, the range should improve, but there's no rush for now. Qin Feng focused his attention on Greedy Hand. He had evolved the Greedy Hand 4 times before. Now, it was the 5th evolution. The evolution points required were 1, 2, 3, 5, and 8 points, respectively. So, the evolution points needed for each skill evolution equal the sum of the previous 2 evolutions. If I'm right, the 6th evolution for any skill will require 13 points. While thinking about this, Qin Feng spent 8 evolution points to evolve the greedy hand once again. You spent 8 evolution points, 4 points remaining. Greedy hand, Emerald Rightward Arrow Diamond. Assassin skill. Can be used on monster corpses with a 160% rightward arrow, 220% chance to obtain an additional loot reward. The extra loot has a 20% rightward arrow, 40% chance to increase 1 grade. Seeing the enhanced skill effect, Qin Feng couldn't help but gasp. Now, with each kill, I get 2 extra loots. Killing 1 monster equals others killing 3. And there's even a 20% chance for 3 extra rewards. Plus, a 40% chance to upgrade 1 grade. With the evolution of this skill, Qin Feng felt increasingly overpowered. When he looked at the conditions for the next evolution of Greedy Hand, he found that it indeed required 13 points for the next evolution. Without the Greedy Hand, Qin Feng might have taken a long time to gather those 13 points. But now, with Greedy Hand, as long as there are bosses, evolution points come easily. Still 4 evolution points left. Let's boost the combat power first. Qin Feng realized he could no longer one-shot silver-level bosses. So, boosting combat power was necessary, otherwise, prolonged fights with higher-level bosses could be dangerous. You spent 3 evolution points, 1 point remaining. Shadow Flash / Silver Rightward Arrow, Gold Rightward Arrow, Platinum, Blink in a direction, up to 15 Rightward Arrow, 18 Rightward Arrow, 21 meters, enter Stealth Mode, lasting 5 Rightward Arrow, 6 Rightward Arrow, 7 seconds, and slash all enemies along the path, 3 Rightward Arrow, 4 Rightward Arrow, 5 times. Cooldown 12, 10.43 seconds. Slash width, 2.1 rightward arrow, 2.6 rightward arrow, 3.1 meters. Each slash adds 100 rightward arrow, 150 rightward arrow, 200 attack power. Evolution of Shadow Flash / didn't reduce cooldown. A bit disappointing. But, relying on Shadow Flash / alone, I can achieve infinite stealth. 3 slashes become 5 slashes, the damage is explosive. With 1 evolution point left, there were no skills available for evolution. Qin Feng glanced at the remaining loot. Nothing useful for him, but there was a silver-level warrior skill book, Battle Cry, which boosts the team's attack and defense by 20 points upon release. This skill book, once learned, could double the team's damage and durability in the early stages. If the warriors from the previous life had the skill early on, they'd be invincible. But now, this skill book can only be sold. Qin Feng felt a bit regretful. He stayed stealthy and surveyed the surroundings. This dense forest was already a level 4 to 5 monster refresh area. The cursed one, initially level 2, had risen to level 4 after digesting life force, which is why it dropped level 4 loot for Qin Feng. In the shadow of the distant woods, 3 rotten limb creepers were cautiously observing the corpse of the cursed one. Before they could react, Shadow Flash / -725. -725. -725. Level 4 ordinary mobs had around 1000 health points. But with 1 Shadow Flash / Qin Feng's figure briefly appeared for about 0.1 seconds before instantly traversing over 10 meters away. Along the path, each of the 3 rotten limb creepers received 2 slashes and was instantly killed. You have killed Rotten Limb Creeper, LV4. You gained 80 experience points. You obtained 5 days of lifespan, tradable. A series of system prompts echoed in Qin Feng's mind. After effortlessly slaying 3 mobs, he returned to the corpses and used Greedy Hand. Fortunately, Greedy Hand isn't on cooldown. Too bad each monster corpse can only be looted once. If anyone knew Qin Feng's thoughts, they might have scolded him. Isn't 100% triple reward satisfying? Still wanting to loot multiple times? Have some shame. With the learning of Shadow Flash / Qin Feng's efficiency in farming mobs increased significantly. It seems reaching level 10 is just a matter of 2 hours. Qin Feng's lips curled up slightly. Just as Qin Feng was preparing to hit level 10 and bring abilities into reality. In the real world, on Blue Star, people around the globe were finally reaching level 3 and returning to reality. Initially, more and more people were entering the godforsaken game in their sleep. In reality, their bodies turned semi-transparent, causing panic and even end-of-the-world theories to spread rapidly. But as level 3 players returned to reality, the truth was finally known to the public. After falling asleep, our consciousness enters a godforsaken land. Godforsaken game. Like an online game. Playing the game makes you stronger. I'm invincible, I swear. Don't get too optimistic. I heard most people keep dying, and each death deducts half their lifespan. You can gain lifespan by killing monsters in the game. Does that mean immortality? Who knows if this is real? Who can explain the power that makes everyone enter the game in their sleep? It's true. In my small town, an old man with little lifespan left died a few times and instantly dropped dead. The entire town received the death announcement, but we don't know if he really died in reality. Countless discussion threads appeared on forums across the globe. The godforsaken game became the top trending topic on every website worldwide. In Jianghai City, Jianghai Normal University, Qin Xiao and Chu Yan, who had returned to their dorms to rest, were also aware of the godforsaken game incident. In the dormitory, the 4 girls were enthusiastically discussing the god-abandoned game. Chuyu, the short-haired girl and Qin Xiao's best friend, was tidying up her things while speaking. I heard that if people from the same area fall asleep at the same time, they'll appear in the same beginner village. I have to go back and take care of my parents. They've never played games before, and I'm afraid they won't be able to adjust. One girl sighed helplessly. Don't drag yourself into it. We can level up on our own first and then bring our parents later. Another girl, wearing glasses, nodded vigorously like a chicken pecking rice. Right. We can't even guarantee our own development, let alone worry about others. Qin Xiao glanced at her phone. She had been waiting for an apology from Qin Feng, but until now, there was no message from him. This made Qin Xiao increasingly angry. Such a big matter, and he still hasn't come to apologize. What a big shot. But asking her to apologize first was impossible. The most important thing was that Qin Xiao felt she hadn't done anything wrong by skipping the exam to attend Song Fei's concert. In her mind, Song Fei's concert was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. How could an ordinary exam compare? Exams can be retaken, but a concert is something you can never get back. Fortunately, this time Chuyu came with me. It was the closest I've ever been to him. Thinking of Song Fei, Qin Xiao felt sweet. At the opening of the concert, when Song Fei said, "I miss you all," it still lingered in her mind. I wonder when Song Fei will enter the god-abandoned game. With his strength, he must be working hard, and he'll definitely be strong in the game too. It's funny to think about it. Now in Qin Xiao's mind, brother was almost entirely associated with Song Fei, not Qin Feng. In her past life, Qin Feng didn't know this. Because of the arrival of the god-abandoned game, Qin Feng had even come to the school, found Qin Xiao, apologized, and begged her to play together. But in this life, do whatever you want. However, due to Qin Feng's choice, things were bound to change. In the previous life, although Qin Feng was at work and didn't immediately find Qin Xiao when he got the news, he had always been messaging her, apologizing and calming her down. This time, however, Qin Feng hadn't cared about her at all. Apologize? What for? Sir, Qin Xiao might enter the game early because of this. But what did it have to do with Qin Feng? Suddenly, Chiweil glanced at her phone and exclaimed with excitement, "Girls, look! John Wei just reached level 3 and came out of the god-abandoned game." Qin Xiao was a bit surprised. So impressive. Anyone who reaches level 3 now is definitely a big shot. As soon as she finished speaking, she picked up her phone and tagged John Wei in their WeChat group. John Wei was the guy who had been napping in class. Once he appeared in the group, it sparked a wave of praise from the whole class. "Xiao Yu, at John Wei big shot, can you share any strategies or tips with us?" The praise from the whole class made John Wei feel a little puffed up. Especially Qin Xiao's message, which made him think this was the perfect opportunity to flirt. Normally, Qin Xiao kept her distance. But now, with an easy chance, why not take it? So John Wei immediately started a private chat with Qin Xiao and began boasting. "Don't worry, Xiao Yu, once someone in the town reaches level 5, the town's teleportation array will be activated. Then, we can teleport between beginner villages. You should just form a team and level up first. Once I get to level 5, I'll teleport to your town and carry you to a fast level up. Here's a secret. When you start the game, add all your attribute points to agility. Otherwise, you'll be too slow and monsters will kill you." Seeing John Wei's message, Qin Xiao was puzzled. She asked, "What if I'm a mage? Do I still need to add points to agility?" John Wei replied seriously, "Yes. Agility isn't completely useless for mages either. It speeds up your casting, especially in the early game." Qin Xiao replied, "Got it." Looking at Qin Xiao's cute WeChat profile picture, John Wei felt a little too proud, even fantasizing about winning Qin Xiao's heart. Little did he know, in Qin Xiao's eyes, the only brother was Songfei. As for the others, they were just tools to help her level up. Qin Xiao thought of Qin Feng and sneered inwardly. Still not coming to apologize. "You're really getting too cocky." "Fine, I'll level up first. When John Wei's town has someone reach level 5, he'll teleport over to carry me. Qin Feng, by the time you enter the game, we won't even know how high our levels will be." She felt that with a big shot like John Wei helping her, leveling up would be quick. Unknowingly, Qin Feng had already reached level 5. If John Wei was a big shot, then what about Qin Feng? The teleportation array in the initial town was bidirectional. Therefore, a single town activating its teleportation array wasn't enough. Another town also needed to have someone reach level 5 to activate it. This was why Qin Feng hadn't rushed back to activate the teleportation array. Besides, for Qin Feng, his goal was to quickly level up to level 10 and head for the main city. That was where the real game began. Besides, towns can teleport for free. Let me think, where would Songfei be? Qin Feng, while easily farming monsters in the dim forest, narrowed his eyes in thought. In his previous life, not long after the game started, Qin Xiao wanted to find Songfei, but Qin Feng had stopped her from going. Thanks to Qin Xiao, back then, a Songfei fan group had learned about the town Songfei was in. I think it was called Firefly Town. That works. I'll level up there and meet Songfei. Every time I see him, I'll take him down. A murderous glint filled Qin Feng's eyes. The hunt within the game was just a prelude, aimed at making them fear going offline. The real hunt was yet to come. Qin Feng glanced at the leaderboard for Shell Town. Right now, he was the only one who had reached level 6. Everyone else was still stuck at level 3. It would take some time before players in other towns reached level 5 and activated the teleportation. Keep farming. Shadow Flash. -754. -754. -754. Monsters that others feared were instantly killed by Qin Feng, turning into experience points, lifespan, and loot. Meanwhile, in the real world, Blue Star, Jianhai City. Wang Meng returned to reality and quickly drove to the office to report the situation. What? You're saying someone in Bishel Town has already reached level 5? And they're soloing? They're called Shadow. If they reached level 5 now, does that mean they're the first in the world? In the office, more than 10 official senior staff members were all stunned upon hearing Wang Meng's report. At this moment, several high-ranking officials from Jianhai City had gathered together. Some of them were regular gamers and had developed an interest in the God-forsaken game. Of course, as officials of the Great Xia Nation, their top priority was stability maintenance. After hearing Wang Meng's report, one of the officials frowned and said, "Wang Meng, according to your report, Shadow reached level 3 half an hour ago. So why hasn't he returned to reality? Could it be that he doesn't have any family in reality, so there's no need to notify anyone?" Wang Meng shook his head. "I don't know. Maybe he really doesn't have any family." At that moment, a clear and pleasant female voice interrupted. Could it be that the Shadow is a time traveler? Aren't time travelers usually orphans, who then rise up quickly?" The others were stunned, turning to look at her. It was a beautiful female police officer, dressed in an elegant uniform with a slightly dazed expression on her face. Her long, straight legs and curvaceous figure were quite eye-catching. Seeing everyone staring at her, the beautiful officer blushed and said, "Was I wrong?" A minister-level official sighed and said, "And you? I told you not to read so many novels. This is a serious occasion, not the time for jokes." "Oh." The female officer stuck her tongue out, fell silent, and the officials continued discussing Shadow. From Wang Meng's description, Shadow's personality doesn't seem bad. That's right. Although his temper seems a bit strange, saving Wang Meng and the others shows he's a good person. Looks like getting to know this Shadow might be a good idea. After a brief discussion, the officials quickly made a decision to assign Wang Meng and Yu to get to know Shadow in the game. The first task was to understand Shadow's personality. The second was to figure out Shadow's real-world identity as much as possible. The third was to establish official cooperation with him. As for the lifespan data, we've received confirmation from higher UPS about its authenticity. Some elderly players who died in the God-forsaken game have had their lifespans repeatedly halved after dying in the game multiple times. If their remaining lifespan is less than a day, death will result in a forced deduction of 1 day's lifespan, leading to actual death. So, this game has been confirmed to be extraordinary, and all countries have placed great emphasis on the God-forsaken game. Right now, the government had 2 busy tasks. One was maintaining social stability. The other was exploring the God-forsaken game. With human lifespans controlled by a mysterious game, it was impossible for any country not to take the game seriously. However, at this moment, all the countries and the world only knew that the game could affect lifespans. What was truly important was, once someone reached level 10, they would receive a system notification. They would be able to extract their level, attributes, equipment, skills, and everything from the game to reality by consuming tradable lifespan. At that point, global chaos would begin. An hour later, Qin Xiao forced herself to fall asleep in her dorm room and entered the God-forsaken game. Just like in her past life, she chose a random profession and received the hidden profession Life Priest. This profession had higher healing capabilities than an ordinary priest and could maximize the survival rate of teammates. In her previous life, Qin Feng had been just an ordinary warrior, which made Qin Xiao look down on him. Even though Qin Feng was very strong, Qin Xiao still didn't respect him much. But she never knew that Qin Feng had chosen the warrior profession just to protect her in the game. This time, without her, Qin Xiao, Qin Feng directly received the unique hidden profession Shadow. Although both were hidden professions, their tiers were different. The life priest was an ordinary hidden profession, which others could also obtain. But Qin Feng's shadow was unique. Its strength was much higher than that of an ordinary hidden profession. Great. I've received the hidden profession. Now, I must be worthy of Brother Songfei, right? Qin Xiao was overjoyed. Then she thought of Qin Feng and frowned. Why hasn't this person apologized to me yet? What's going on? Well, since the God-forsaken game is out, I'm now a hidden profession. Don't come to me asking for help with leveling. With her hidden profession, Qin Xiao felt quite inflated. Moreover, Zhang Wei had already promised to help her, which made her feel even more confident. However, she clearly misjudged the difficulty of the God-forsaken game, which would definitely have her struggling in a way that would make her wish she were dead. At Shelltown, Qin Feng filled his bag with loot and was planning to return and process it. Luckily, I got a storage bag. Although it only has 5 slots, it's enough to store 5 pieces of loot. In the God-forsaken game, players initially had a 10-slot bag, hanging on their left hip. Now, Qin Feng had a black cloth pouch on his right hip, adding 5 more slots. Qin Feng did a quick calculation. These items could be sold for at least 500 days' worth of tradable lifespan. After killing the silver boss cursed one and grinding for a while, Qin Feng had just barely reached over 600 days of lifespan. 500 days was already quite a lot. While invisibly making his way back, he saw 2 figures. John Lee from Daejiang Industries. Qin Feng silently passed by them. He overheard their conversation. Lao Mao, miss, you've reached level 3. The promise should be fulfilled now, right? Yali, don't worry, Daejiang Industries won't owe you anything. We'll return to reality now. I'll give you my phone number and you can contact me. By the way, sell me your tradable lifespan. I'll buy it for 10,000 per day. Are you selling? Lao Mao, sure, haha. The young man, Mao Lejun, was just an ordinary profession, a self-chosen archer who had focused on agility at the start, making leveling easier. Now, he had taken Yali to level 3, and it was time to collect. Shadow, even though you've reached level 7, it's still just a game. Like me, seize every opportunity to turn game abilities into cash. That's what a truly smart person does. Even if this game affects lifespans, the lifespan can be grinded anytime, so why rush? Mao Lejun was smug. He was already excited about the nearly 6 million he was about to pocket. Qin Feng couldn't be bothered with the 2 of them. He soon returned to Shelltown. Still in stealth, he made his way to the basement of the central square, descended the stairs, and found a petrified teleportation portal. He reached out and touched it. Congratulations, you have activated the Shelltown teleportation array. Shelltown is now connected to other initial towns in Jianhai City, Great Xia Nation. You can teleport for free once per day. Multiple teleports require tradable lifespan. You have earned 1 reputation. After completing this, Qin Feng returned to the square. He resumed his appearance as a veiled assassin in a black robe, stepping into the view of the players in the town, drawing countless envious, jealous, and admiring gazes.